Hello everyone and welcome back. In last week's tutorial, we started a multi-part series on our Cricut layout. And last week what we really did is we just talked about the different overlays, the different titles that I had already created. And just to refresh your memory, this is the main lower third that kind of starts the production off. It shows the two teams and it also shows the venue. This is the batter's lower third. It shows the two current batters. It shows the number of runs they've scored and the number of wickets that they have accumulated. And then over here to the left is a scoreboard, and that remains constant in several of the different titles that I've created. The next one is what I refer to as the batter-bowler graphic. It shows who the current bowler is, and then it also shows what the current run rate is. And this last one here is the bowler bio. I also have one set up for both of the batters, which shows what their current stats are. That's batter 1, and that's batter 2. And then I also have one that's set up that shows the bowler stats. So that's what we accomplished last week. This week what we're going to do is we're going to look at an overview of the vMix UTC layout, and I'm going to point out the different areas on this layout. And as we go through this, if I have a tutorial about something that we've covered in a little bit more detail, I'll go ahead and show an image of the thumbnail for that tutorial. So if you want to, you can go to that and get a little bit more in-depth discussion. And then probably the last two episodes that we're going to do on this topic of Cricut are going to be on the scoring automation, because that's the most difficult part of this project. I've spent quite a bit of time already working on the scoring automation, and I'm just kind of scratching the surface. Along the way today, I will probably ask some questions, because this is going to have to be a collaborative effort in order to get this finished, because as I said in the previous episode, I'm not that well versed in Cricut. I'm putting this tutorial series together because I've had several people reach out to me and ask if this is something that I can do. So I'm going to take it as far as I can, but I'm going to rely on viewers and subscribers to get us over the hump. So probably along the way today, I'm going to be asking questions. Some of it is just going to be rules about Cricut, and some of it is going to be about scoring. I've set up a Discord channel so that we can have a little back and forth regarding this tutorial series on Discord, and it's at One Man's Stream. So today what we're going to do is we're just going to do an overview of the vMix UTC layout, like I said, and I'm going to show you the different buttons, and then I'm also going to show you how we set up those buttons and what widget we use to do those buttons. So this first one right here where it says venue, that under widgets, that is just a label button. So you just click on label button. I'll go to an open area, and you can see where it says label widget. And then I just typed in venue like so. I clicked OK. And then you just got to grab the corners. You'll see the double arrows, and then you can move it, or you can resize it and make it whatever size you want, and then you can put it wherever you'd like it. So that was the label widget. These next ones here, these are actually going to be text widgets. So you go up to a widget and you click text field. And then I just called this one Team 1. So what you want to do is you'll want to map it. What happens with a text field widget is anything that you put in this area right here, it's going to be reflected in the field that you map it to. So on this one here, I mapped it to the Cricut lower third, which is the opening graphic, and then I mapped this to visitor team name. In this example right here, anything that's blue is going to be visiting team, and anything that's red is going to be the home team. So we matched that to visiting team name. Did something very similar on this one here. Again, we just entitled this one Team 2. Again, this is a text-filled widget. And with the drop-down menu here, you can change the color of your button. As I said, the home team color is going to be red, the visiting team is going to be blue. And we map this, instead of visiting team name, we map this side to home team name. And I'll go ahead and bring in the graphic. And just to show you how this works, I'll change England to Tim's team, and you can see how that automatically reflects in the graphic when we changed it. So we'll change it back to England, and that's back to where we started. The second part here is the team logo. You can see for the visiting team, I just have a cricket logo there, but we can change that. If you find out that you have your setup backwards, you can just come to this drop-down menu and you can change it. So I'll just click on this one. You can see where the cricket logo changed to this logo right here, and then we'll just go ahead and change it back. The mapping on that, it's mapped to several, and on all the lower thirds of these three, two ends of the graphic are the team logos. So that's why I mapped it 3 different times. I mapped it to the cricket lower third, I mapped it to the cricket lower third batters, and then the cricket lower third batter bowler. Now, since this is a list widget, what we did is we created a list, and you can create lists 2 different ways. You can create lists manually by clicking this plus button right here, and every time you click the plus button, it's going to add a line to the bottom. Or with this button right here, you can load a list. So you can create a list in Notepad and then load that list after the fact, and it's a little bit quicker that way. And to be quite honest, when I'm loading a whole lot of images, I actually do create a list in Notepad. But I'm going to show you how this works. So I'm going to go click on my file menu at the bottom, and I'm going to bring in, here we go, I'm going to bring in let's say this logo right here. This is a new MMA promoter that we're going to start doing production for, GE Fight. So I'm going to bring that in. I click on it, and then I click copy path. Let's get rid of that. Then I'm going to click on this, right click, and paste. And I've talked about this before, but it's certainly worth reiterating. You have to make sure you remove those quotation marks when you copy that path. If you leave the quotation marks in there, it will not display. So I'm going to get rid of the one at the end. I'm going to get rid of the one at the beginning. Click OK. And now when I go up here, you can see the new image that we just added. And I'll click on it, and you can see where it changed right here. So that's how easy it is to add something once you actually create the button. So we'll go ahead and we'll take it back to the cricket logo. And that's exactly the same thing that I did for the home team logo, except you'll notice here on the other one it said visiting image. On all these it says home image. And again, you can do the exact same thing. You can click the plus button several times and add it line by line, or you can load a list. And again, you can see that this is a list widget. These next 3 fields, batting team, and I'm showing my ignorance again. I do not know what the P stands for, and then the current over that we're in. These are all list widgets, and if I click on them, you can see the drop-down menu. I have all the P1, P2 through P11 here, and then the overs, I have that starting out as 1, and then it goes all the way down to 7. And these are all, let me show you. These are all list widgets, and we have it mapped to an awful lot of information, and this is where part of the scoring comes in. And like I said, I'll get into that in more detail probably in 2 more episodes, because there is so much information and it is so detailed. But these are all the titles that this particular button is mapped to. And again, these are list widgets. These next 4 buttons right here are score widgets. Let's click on one of the visiting team buttons, and you can see some of the automation that we're going to get into later. With the scoring with cricket, let's bring this down here. You have 1s, 2s, 3s, 4s, and 6s, and this is how the automation is going to work. I'm going to tick these buttons over here for +1, +2, +3, +4, and +6. And then I've created links that says add 1 team 1, add 2 team 2, add 2 team 1, add 3 team 1, add 4 team 1, and add 6 team 1. And this is how the scoring is going to be done for the visiting team. Go down here a little bit further, and you can see all the pieces of information so far that I have it mapped to. And believe me, there's going to be a whole lot more that's going to be incorporated within these buttons. These fields right here are for the lower thirds. These fields right here, these 3 fields right here are for the lower thirds, and this is for the visiting team score. This is for the batting team score. These are for the individual batter bowler graphics, and you can see that the field on all of them are the same: batting team score, bat team score, bat team score, bat team score. So this is just one button, and now you can understand why the scoring for this is going to be so involved. So that was for score. Let's look at wickets. Same thing. We're going to click the +1, and then we're going to put over here in link, add 1 wicket team 1. And then when we're doing for the second team, or for the home team, it's going to be add 1 wicket team, or the T stands for team 2. So this is add, the abbreviation, add 1 wicket team 1. And you can do this however you want. This is just the convention that I came up with as far as naming the links, and it works very well for me. And again, this is the title mapping that's so far for the wickets. This next thing here is a batter toggle, and let's go to one of the other graphics. Let's go to this one right here. And you can see on this graphic where we have 2 batters, and currently batter 1 is the one that's batting, but we can toggle it to batter 2, and then we can toggle it back to batter 1. So let's take a look at these buttons here. This is just a button widget, and what I've done is I'm setting pieces of the graphic off and on. So on this one here, the command is set X visible on. This is for the lower third with batters graphic, and the index is 1, and it is an image. So let's go under source down here at the bottom. So what we're going to do is we're going to batter 1 indicator source, we're setting that on, and the batter 1 indicator source is actually that little round cricket ball. So that's what they're actually talking about here. So we're going to turn that on, and we're going to do it for all the graphics so that it's so that all the graphics are going to be in the same state all the time. So we're going to set visible on for the lower third batters graphic, for the lower third batter bowler graphic, just for those 2 graphics. And then we're going to set visible off on those same 2 graphics for the source image 0. So source image 0 is batter 1. So what we're doing is we're turning the image on for batter 2, and we're turning the image off for batter 1. Okay, so for batter 2, let's take a look at that. So we have set visible on for index 0. Index 0 is batter 1. Well, it says bat 1 indicator 1, but this is actually, we have bat 1 indicator and bat 1 indicator 1. And this is going to be confusing. I should probably change this, but bat 1 indicator is actually for batter 1, and batter 1 indicator 1 is actually for batter 2. So with this particular button, we're turning the cricket image on for batter 2, and we're turning it off for batter 1. This right here is an area that I've set up for overlays. I'll show you this right here. You can see I've done something a little bit different on this layout than I've done in ones in the past. I actually have utilized the region widget here, and you can see where it is a region widget, and I've changed the background color to orange. And the cool thing about the region widget is I can move an entire area of my vMix UTC. I can move it all at one time as long as I have this little yellow thing on. So you can see I'm moving it, and as I move it, the buttons are moving with it. If I do not have the yellow sticky on, if I turn it off, when I move it, the region moves, but the buttons within that region remain. So after I have it all set up the way that I want it, I want to make sure that I have that sticky on. And on this one right here, you can see that this button looks a little bit different. Well, what I did was, if you right click, you can toggle caption off and on. So if I click it and toggle the caption on, you can see all the control buttons that are up here above it. But if I right click again and click the toggle caption, it takes all that information off and it makes it look a little more sleek, and you're able to get buttons in a smaller area. And that's what I did to these right here and to these right here. And all the ones that I'm going to put in this area, I'm going to do the exact same thing too. This right here is the NDI monitor. I've talked about this before, and if you need some more information or a refresher on NDI monitor, we do have a tutorial for that. And what you do is you go up here to widget, and it's under external data, and you click on NDI monitor. Let's get rid of this guy. And it brings in the NDI monitor button. One thing you do have to make sure of is right here in this file path that you have a file loaded. And if you click on this, it'll take you to that file. This is a separate file that you have to download from the vMix forum website, and I showed you how to do that in a previous tutorial as well. And you want to make sure that you do have this file. You do incorporate this file. If you don't, the NDI monitor will not work correctly. So as you can see, we do have that file here. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to click the drop-down menu here, and any of the NDI outputs that I have, or anything that I have working NDI on in my production, is going to be displayed here. So we're just going to make this output. Well, this one, we already have it set up for output 1, so we'll make it output 2 and see what happens. Nope, same thing. But as you can see, it brings in a representation. This is actually my program out in my main vMix production, and that's what I have right here. And that way I know that the graphics are firing, and what I want to have visible in my production is visible. Take, for instance, right here the one-man. If you're running this from a remote computer that's not actually part of your main vMix production, you really don't know if your graphics are firing off when you click the buttons or not. So NDI monitor is very helpful for that. So just for this example right here, I'm going to take away the one-man stream logo, and then I will click on it again. And I'm actually doing this from the main vMix production. I do not have this set up in UTC. So now I can see that my one-man stream bug is displaying in the upper right-hand corner. So that's NDI monitor. These other buttons here, this is what we're going to get into in the next couple episodes because it is quite involved. I'll show you this here. So far what I've done is I've worked on the two batters and their automation and incorporating that with the graphics. And right here for wickets, what we do when we create the score widget, we're going to go in and we're going to tick these boxes, and that's going to allow us to execute scripting on the actual buttons that we're going to be using to change the score. So this one right here is batter 1 wickets, and you can see that I have the title mapped to cricket lower third batters, and I have it set to batter 1 data 2. And let's just go up to here. So batter 1, this is batter 1, and these are my two data fields right here. Data field 1 is the runs, data field 2 is the wickets. So that's why I have it set up to batter 1, data 2, and that's going to change the wicket. So let's go ahead and click on wicket, and you can see that it changed the wicket. Now you can also see each time I press on this that the team wickets are also changing too. So how did that happen? Well, let's go down to this, and we're executing, every time I click that plus button, we're actually executing two different links. We're adding 1 wicket to team 1, which is right here, and then we're adding 1 wicket to batter 1, which is right here. So where did this add 1 wicket team 1 come from? Well, let's go over here to team 1 wickets. We're going to click on the properties cog, And this is where the add one wicket team one comes in. So I click the +1 button. I put this in for the link. And now every time we execute the link, it's going to add one wicket to team one. So let's click on it again. And you can see where it goes up to 14. And like I said, every time I punch that button, we have two things that's going on. We're adding one wicket team one, and we're adding one wicket batter one. Okay, well, we just saw where the team one wicket came in. Where's the add one wicket batter one come in at? Well, that's right here under batter one wickets. We'll click over here. You can see the +1, add one wicket, batter one. So that's why each time we press this, we have two things happening. We have one wicket being added to batter one, and we have one wicket being added to the team totals. Okay, so I hope you were able to follow along with that. That's pretty much what I wanted to cover for today. It's probably going to take us a couple more tutorials in order to get all the way through this. Like I'd mentioned previously, I have started a Discord, so you can be part of the conversation regarding this series that we're trying to complete. I also worked a little bit on my onemanstream.com website. I had neglected that for a long time. I have all the tutorials up there in one place for you. I also have had many requests over the past year for some of the graphics that I've created. I've had several people ask if they could purchase those. So I actually developed a store there. The graphics are very reasonable. You can order those at the store, and once you purchase them, you can download them immediately. One other thing I'm going to do is, after I have a complete tutorial series done, I'm also going to put that up there. I'm going to put all the assets for vMix. And then, because in vMix now, in this button right here, this Save As, you can actually save it as a bundle. So what I'm going to do is, when I get everything done in each individual project, what I'm going to do is I'm going to save it as a bundle, and then that way it saves all the assets. So anything that I'm demonstrating or anything that I'm showing in a tutorial, I'm going to package that into a bundle. And along with the vMix UTC controller setup, and that is something that I'm also going to make available on the website for anybody that's interested. So I hope you found today's tutorial informative. If you would, please give me a thumbs up and a like, and make sure that you do subscribe so that you'll be alerted as soon as new videos are posted. Thank you very much. Make sure that you do become a part of the conversation with Discord, and stop by the onemanstream.com website and take a look around. Thank you so much.